morning, everyone. I want to formally welcome you tonight. We are going to start our ceremony at this time. So if you would like to find a seat at one of the tables up here, you are more than welcome to, or just to come in a little bit closer as we have several special guests with us here to mark this very special occasion. My name is Mary King. I serve as the morning anchor, early morning anchor at WIS-TV, and have had the great privilege of my time at WIS over the past 5 years to get to know Satch Krantz through coverage of several stories here at Riverbank Zoo. So I can't tell you what an honor it was to be asked to be a part of this ceremony tonight, to get to MC your formal retirement, Satch. So thank you for that honor. I really, truly appreciate that. Many of you are going to know some of these stats and these figures here that I'm about to share about Satch because you've known him as well. And I don't think that Riverbanks, you can't say Riverbank Zoo without Satch Krantz, and that's why we're truly marking an end of an era for Riverbanks tonight. Satch has been at Riverbanks since 1973, and for those of you who know that the zoo opened in 1974, you truly know that he's been here from the beginning. He served as the supervisor of the zoo's animal hospital after he graduated from Clemson, and the tiger has been here, and I think that's been part of your pride and joy here tonight, Satch. Is our tiger still here? Where'd he go? Well, we know we got some pictures with the tiger tonight. In 1976, Satch was promoted to executive director of Riverbank Zoo at the age of 26. He has stayed in that role under title of president and CEO since, and we know he certainly created the legacy here at Riverbanks. It was a very small zoo when Riverbanks opened, and we know what we're standing in right now. Not small at all. 1.3 million people walked through the gates of Riverbanks last year alone. We know it's one of the top zoos. Yeah, we can clap for that for sure. Riverbanks is one of the top zoos in the country, and really, if not the world, and really when you take a look at what's happened at one of our favorite destination, Riverbanks, led and spearheaded by Satch, has created even more interest in this zoo that has become part of the lifeblood here of the Midlands of South Carolina and the state for that matter. We're standing in front of part of that destination, Riverbanks, and our sea lions and seal friends have been very vocal. I think they are celebrating you tonight as well, Satch. So again, we have several distinguished guests here to help us mark this amazing occasion. And so we are going to start with Dennis Kelly. He is the chair of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums Board of Directors and has been the director of the Smithsonian National Zoo and the Conservation Biology Institute since 2010. Prior to that, he was director of Zoo Atlanta for 6 years, and he's been serving on the board of directors with the AZA since 2011. Would you please help me welcome Mr. Dennis Kelly?
Thank you, Mary. It's such an honor to be here, and what a great occasion to be celebrating a great legacy. My job here tonight is to talk about a community that many of you may not know a lot about, but that Satch has done so much for. So it's my job to represent the hundreds of thousands of people that Satch Krantz has influenced in his job, in his role of saving species from extinction. Of course, I'm talking about the global community of zoos and aquariums around the world. I want to begin with a flat assertion that for zoo directors, for zoo professionals, for aquarium professionals around the world, Satch Krantz is a true hero. You know, we're active members of the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and as Mary said, I'm following in Satch's footsteps as the chairman of the board of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. I'm representing directors of 232 accredited zoos and aquariums in the United States, 6,000 professionals, hundreds of aquariums and zoos around the world that Satch has led. You'll understand that in a few minutes. In the spirit of full disclosure, I'm a new friend of Satch. I've only known him for 14 years. Many of you have known him for much longer. In fact, there are several zoo directors here in the audience. I'd like for you to stand up and be recognized who've known Satch almost from his first day on the job. So could all the visiting zoo directors stand up and be recognized from around the world? So at the same time that Satch was building his great legacy here at Riverbanks, he was building a very important legacy in our profession. As he himself has written, as Satch, as you have written, your career spanned a period of great transition for conservation organization for zoos and aquariums around the world. You saw that at Riverbanks, but it was going on around the world. Early on, you recognized that we had to not only focus on great animal welfare, we had to focus on safety, we had to focus on a great visitor experience, but you asked us to focus on increasing our impact on education and on conservation. You recognized the need for us to collaborate more. In fact, you joined, when you were a very young man, a small organization based in West Virginia that was trying to advocate for better animal welfare and care. You know, Satch had a number of leadership roles in our profession. I want to list a few of them. It's an amazing list. He was a member of the AZA Board of Regents. He was a trustee of the International Species Information System, now known as Species 360, a board of directors that has 1,000 member institutions. He was chairman of the AZA Membership Committee. He was a member and chair of the AZA Ethics Committee. He was a member and chair of one of the technically most difficult jobs in our profession, which is the Accreditation Commission. A very difficult job technically, and he moved us very far along. So it's very natural that Satch's peers would elect him to be on the board of directors of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. What is unprecedented is not just once we asked him to do that, we asked him to do it twice. He's the only person in 60 years that was asked to be on the board and be board chair twice in his career. And our colleagues around the world recognized the same thing, and they asked him to be on the board of and then chair of the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Only one of 3 people who has done that. So it's an amazing, amazing achievement. As important as these things are, I want to mention just a couple of things. Under Satch's leadership, we moved the association's office from West Virginia into DC such that we can have more influence on policies around the world to save species from extinction. In 1989, Satch did the first strategic plan ever for our profession, a real milestone. One thing you may not know, and I want to really recognize for it, I think you'll understand the significance. Back when Satch started, injuries were common in our profession. In fact, one of the most dangerous places in a zoo was the elephant keeper profession. It was not unusual for an elephant keeper to be injured or even killed almost on an annual basis. Satch convened a meeting right here at Riverbanks to say we've got to do something about that. It was controversial. It was not popular. But Satch led a group that changed the way we manage elephants. And since that time, accidents with elephants are almost unheard of. Because of Satch Krantz, elephant keepers now go home safely every night. And that's an amazing, amazing achievement. Congratulations on that, Satch. In 1978, our association wanted to recognize leaders that were making a huge contribution. And so we created an award, and the first recipient of that was Marlin Perkins. How many of you remember Marlin Perkins? Marlin Perkins got the first Marlin Perkins Award. In 38 years, there's only been 22 people that were good enough to win the Marlin Perkins Award. And I'm proud to say in 2013, the AZA Board of Directors unanimously agreed that Satch Krantz should receive the Marlin Perkins Award. So Satch, in preparing for these little short talks, I talked with many of your colleagues, and I do have a lot of stories. Becky, they're almost all PG. There's a few PG-13 stories. I'm not going to share them all, but we'll come to Kiwa, and we'll have a glass of wine, and we'll talk about them. I do want to mention 3 things that I learned. Number 1 is one of your colleagues called you Mr. Stir the Pot because you were never satisfied with the answers that people gave to questions. You dove deeper, and you always drove to make sure we had the right answers. There's a director here tonight that gave me another tidbit about Satch Krantz, and he was actually a protege of yours, Satch, and he said you gave him a piece of advice which he's carried with him ever since. He said, and I'm going to quote, this is your quote, Satch, "An effective leader's job is to serve others before serving himself, so be sure and check your ego at the door of your office every morning." I'm going to repeat that because that's important. That's what makes a great leader. Serve others before yourself and check your ego at the door every morning. That's what makes a great leader, ladies and gentlemen. My last story is a personal one. 14 years ago, I was a brand new director down at Zoo Atlanta, right down the road. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. On my third day in the job, I get a call from Satch Krantz from Riverbank Zoo in South Carolina. And he said, I want to introduce myself, I want to offer my services, I want to see if I can help. I thanked him very much and went back to trying to figure out how the heck to run a zoo. 30 days later, Satch calls back again, just checking in. Wanted to see if there's anything I can do to help. 30 days after that, at month 2, Satch calls in. But on that phone call, Satch says to me, Dennis, how many animals you got there at Zoo Atlanta? I said, about 1,800, Satch. He says, they're all getting ready to die. But he said, you've got to tell everybody every one of their stories. That's your job, is to spread the word about animals on this planet. So when Satch called at month 4, I was ready for him. So Satch calls, and I said, Satch, I need your help. And he said, what is it, Dennis? I'm happy to help any way I can. I said, Satch, when I got here, I had 4 lions, but now I got 0 lions. I got 2 lion habitat that are dead empty, and I got to have some lions, but the species survival plan, which you helped create, would not give me any more lions for a year. So I was going to have empty lion exhibits for a year. Satch, what am I going to do? Satch explained to me how important the species survival plan was and how that is so important to conservation in our profession. I said, but Satch, I ain't got no lions. So he said, let me see what I can do. So a week later, my general curator walks in and says, Satch has found us a lion. I said, great. And 2 weeks after that, truck pulls up and out trundles a lion. Now, I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it was not the most beautiful lion in the world. In fact, it was pretty cut up. In fact, it was about a year older than it's supposed to be when it dies. In fact, it only had 1 working eye. And I didn't know this at the time, Satch, but it had diabetes, for goodness sake. But Satch Krantz got me a lion that went on exhibit every day until the young lions came in. Now, the point of this story is not that Satch foisted off on me an old sick lion and got him off the payroll at Riverbanks, but that is what you did. But rather that Satch, nobody asked him to, but he reached out to me as a young director, as a new director, because he knew that my success, that Zoo Atlanta's success, was important to our profession, and he did that. Satch, you're going to hear that you and Becky have made an incredible difference here in Columbia, in all the Midlands. This is a better community because of what you've done. The state of South Carolina is a better community of what you've done. What I'm here to tell you is that around the world, there are fewer animals going extinct because of what you've done for our profession. I pledge to you on behalf of all the young zoo directors in the country, we're going to continue your legacy, and it's been an honor to work with you.
Thank you so much, Dennis Kelly, for sharing that with us tonight. We are also honored tonight to have the chair-elect of AZA Zoos with us, Jim Brahaney. Jim is actually the executive director of the Bronx Zoo currently. And Jim, if you will come forward, we would love to have you share as well.
Hi, Dennis did a great job talking about Satch, so I'm not gonna say too much, but I wanted to say I came on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Wildlife Conservation Society, which operates the Bronx Zoo and the New York Aquarium and the city zoos. The Board of Trustees. I came on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Wildlife Conservation Society, which operates the Bronx Zoo, the New York Aquarium, and the city zoos in New York. And on behalf of the board, the staff, all your friends at the Bronx Zoo, we want to give you this award that recognizes your contribution to the zoo and aquarium profession. And Dennis summed it up, but what you've done, you've been through the whole evolution, you've led the evolution, and you made the path for the rest of us to follow. So we really appreciate what you've done, and I wish you'd come up and get this award from me. Everybody at the Bronx loves you. Your friends that are here from other zoos love you. I'm sure these people love you. I love you. So we wish you the best, you and Becky, the rest of your family. God bless you and have a good retirement.
Thank you, Jim, for making the trip from New York to be with us here tonight and celebrating Satch. At this time, we also have with us tonight Mary Howard. She is the chair of the Riverbanks Park Commission, and she served as a member of the Park Commission since December of 2007. After teaching for several years, Howard worked actively in state government, even serving as district administrator for Congressman Joe Wilson until her retirement in 2004. So please help me welcome Mrs. Mary Howard.
Thank you, Mary. It is truly an honor to be with you this evening as we celebrate the remarkable career of Satch Krantz. Satch, I'm exceedingly grateful to have had the opportunity to work alongside you as a long-standing member of the Riverbanks Park Commission and as past president of the Riverbanks Society Board of Directors. You are a man of impeccable character who has generously answered the call to serve your profession, your community, and your state. There is no question that your unwavering commitment to all living things will have an impact for generations to come. Because of your guidance, the zoo has become a cherished place where individuals, families, and school children can experience with the natural world. Because of your direction, Riverbanks has grown from a financially troubled zoo in the early years to South Carolina's largest gated tourist attraction and one of the top zoos in the nation with visitors of more than 1 million per year. You are a true visionary and a profound leader. Satch, your legacy is our future, and we are all so grateful for you and to you. Would you come forward, please? It is my sincerest pleasure to present you with this honorary plaque, which will be placed on the Founders Road here at Riverbanks for your outstanding service to the children, the animals, and the community. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mary, so much for sharing. And Seth, I think CSX is even celebrating you tonight, coming through here. Just wanted to say congratulations. We also have with us tonight the president of the Riverbanks Society, Chris Goodall. And Chris has been serving in his second term as president and has served on the society board since January of 2013. He's also the president of the Goodall Company, a development business he runs along with his daughter and son-in-law, and recently retired from Aflac Group Insurance, where he served as the vice chairman. So please help me welcome tonight Chris Goodall.
Thank you. Good evening. First thing I want to do, though, is I want to share something with you. You know, one of the benefits of being part of this association in society is learning things about the zoo. We've learned a lot from Satch. One of the things that truly fascinated me were to learn about the hand commands and hand signals and things that the trainers and the director and people use. So I noticed that the last two meetings, anytime an issue came up that was controversial or was clearly a problem, I'd look over at Satch and he was doing this. I thought it was one of the commands he learned from the trainers and had some significance to the animals. Finally I looked over and said, so what is this? And he says, I'm sitting on the beach at Kiowa and the waves are just rolling in. Now, you know, it's really hard to believe as we stand here tonight that it's really time to celebrate the retirement of Satch Krantz. It's equally hard for me to imagine Riverbank Zoo without Satch or Satch without Riverbank Zoo. Those two share a lot in common. Those two names will be forever linked, and frankly, they're practically synonymous. Now, what's particularly unusual about Satch's retirement is how long he's been here. You know, most people that work retire. Very few people retire after 44 years, 4.5 decades of service to this community and to this zoo. Folks, in this modern world that we live in, that kind of loyalty and longevity is exceedingly rare. I don't know, it's probably on the same level of rarity as Halley's Comet or Bigfoot sightings, but it's truly amazing what he's done. So Satch, we just thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for helping make this zoo an integral part of our community. As I think was mentioned previously, the Zoo Society is now comprised of 43,000 households. That's representing almost 200,000 individuals. Now here's a statistic I found particularly exciting. Almost half of the 1.4 million annual visitors to Riverbank Zoo drive over 50 miles to be here. I think Satch Riverbanks has come what you always envisioned it to be. It's a true destination attraction. So we're grateful for everything that you've done over the past 44 years to make this place in our community so special. So these are wonderful accolades and gifts, but I've got something really special. On behalf of the Riverbank Zoo, I'm pleased to provide you with a lifetime membership to the zoo. I just hope, Satch, that we're able, if you didn't hear that, he said, I'm on fixed income now, so that's great. I just hope that we're able to pry you off the beach and away from your umbrella drink of choice and get you back up to visit. So Satch, we owe you a debt of gratitude. Thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you, Chris. As we know, has been mentioned several times tonight, Satch's knowledge and oversight has been instrumental in Riverbank's role as a global leader in wildlife conservation. Earlier this year, going back to January, I had the privilege to get to partner with Riverbanks through a project which we've called Beyond the Banks. If you're not familiar with it, it is a series of stories that has really allowed us to go deeper into what's happening every day here at Riverbanks. We started it around the birth or the pregnancy rather, of Macy the gorilla here at Riverbanks. But what was so incredible is because we got to walk alongside keepers every step of the way, we knew there was a 20% chance that a baby gorilla might not make it. And it broke the collective community's heart when it didn't. But what they also understood was it's part of the process. This is a living collection, and this is all about moving forward and ensuring that, you know what, we're going to do it again, we're going to go after it again, and we can collectively understand that. And so it's been an honor and a privilege to get to start this series, and it's just the beginning of it really as we continue to tell the story of Riverbanks. But as so many people have said, Riverbanks is synonymous with Satch Krantz, and it is things are happening here, stories are being told because of what you've done. And I think my favorite part of this series has been allowing people to understand that when we talk about going beyond the banks, what's happening in these gates is truly impacting the world. And what's even cooler is our children right here are understanding that, and there was an elementary school who followed Macy's story, and because of the work happening here in your leadership, Satch, they adopted a family of gorillas through the Diane Fossey Foundation and are now sponsoring that family in Africa, right here in the Midlands of South Carolina, and at a young age, understanding, yes, we can clap for that. It's amazing. At a young age, a very young age, kindergartners in our community are understanding what it means to give back and make sure that the species that have been gifted to us do not go extinct. And so what a joy it has been to be able to watch our community as a whole see the work that is happening every day, and what started here at Riverbanks so long ago. The formation of Riverbanks Conservation Support Fund started in 1996. As we know, that is really what has allowed Riverbanks to put its footprint and put its hands all over what's happening across the world. And CSF, since its inception, has provided nearly $803,000 in grant funding to conservation biologists working here at home and beyond the banks to help safeguard the world's wildlife and wild places. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Howard and President Goodall to come back to the podium with us. And Satch, I'm going to ask you to come up as well, because at this time, it is our heartfelt honor to unveil to you that the Conservation Fund here at Riverbanks will now be known as the Satch Krantz Conservation Fund. That's the formal logo you'll see now for representing the fund, and it is there's no way to say thank you, but it's another way that we try to say thank you for all you've done for conservation here at Riverbanks and beyond, saving endangered species around the world. We have three other very special guests with us tonight sitting up here, and I'd like to ask State Representative James Smith, Senator Nikki Setzler, and Congressman Joe Wilson to all come up here collectively, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to them. Oh, and Representative Beth Bernstein. I didn't see you sneak in over there. All right, you want to start, Congressman Wilson?
Thank you.
All right.
And ladies and gentlemen, friends, many friends of Satch Krantz. I'm Joe Wilson. I'm just very grateful to be serving this community in Congress and to be with my former colleagues from the General Assembly. It's so meaningful for me to be here. I want to thank my mountain next door neighbor, Chris Goodall. I'm grateful to be here with them. And then you should be aware that Dennis and Mary have done an extraordinary job explaining that we're in a world-class facility. But to me, it's very personal. I was reminiscing with Satch that my oldest son, Alan, actually got his start working in the gift shop. And then it reminded me that he also sold tickets. And then I remember, too, he did cleanup crew at some of the displays here. And so that encouraged him to go to Tamika Isaac Devine's victory party, where he met the newscaster from WIS Television, Dennis Miskowitz, Jennifer Miskowitz, and from that, then he was elected Attorney General of South Carolina to get out of the gift shop. So this is all. So hey, it all fits together as I look around see extraordinary people. And then I'm also very grateful to be here. Another personal side. My mother was the garden editor of the Post and Courier in Charleston. And so I've always grown up with a great appreciation of the botanical garden. We have a world-class botanical garden, and it's one that we should all be so proud of, and so it's very, very personal to me. And every time I go, I'm just truly reminded of the extraordinary success of Satch Krantz and what he means to our district, to our community and state. In fact, I was so moved, Mary, about his retirement that instead of bringing a congressional certificate today, I mailed it to him 2 months ago. So hey, I'm just grateful to be here, and now the Senator from Lexington County, from the Midlands of South Carolina, Senator Nikki Setzler.
Thank you, Congressman. Satch, when we got here, trying to think what to say, and you and I have been friends and worked together for some 40 years. Each of us who are here are who we are by the grace of God. And God has really graced us and graced you with us knowing you and what you've done on behalf of this community, and we can only say thank you to you and your family. As I sat here and listened to all these incredible accomplishments throughout your life and what you've dedicated your life to do, there was one other thought that came to me. Each of us spends every day of our life trying to impact
other people and improve the lives of other people. But what would you do if when you finished life and you were called home, you could look up and say, I have touched the lives of millions of young children and made their life for the rest of their lives a better place and a better community. God bless you and thank you. That was my line, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll hold on to it then. Good evening. Good evening. It's good to be with everybody. Satch, we all have sort of looked back in history and your service here, and I was sort of running the numbers, if you will, and I looked down and I could see, okay, 73, you arrived, 76, you became at age 26, and then I remembered that I was 6 years old, just arrived to Columbia, and my dad, Jim Smith, who's been privileged to work with you on the commission, was taking me all around this beautiful place, and then watching growing up and bringing my own children here and seeing the development and the impact that you have made. And there's just so much to say, and I was going to say, I'm debating whether I take the senator's thunder about a couple of things here or not, but I think I will hold off. But you have made such, and what has been said so many times already, but is worth repeating, and I know how much you like people talking about you, so I'm going to continue with that. But it's been your thinking of others and doing of others. And I was talking with my dad, and one of the greatest qualities I think you've brought to the leadership here is the team that you built. And the way you work by bringing in just fantastic and giving them the responsibility and giving them the honor and giving them the credit. And it is doing that by giving to others that you have created what is going to be a legacy that's going to live on for generations. My children, and their children, and their children's children, and everybody who's privileged to be a part of this. You have created something here that is a legacy for generations that has changed and will continue to be an impact on our entire state. It's not just a great treasure and resource for the Midlands, which it is, but it is a state treasure and it's become a national and world model, and it's because of your leadership and your work and thinking of others. There are a lot of people involved in putting together. We have a couple of recognitions that come from two of your three branches of government, one being the executive and the other one being the legislative. And I'm going to turn it over now to Representative Bernstein, and we'll come back to those in a moment. Thank you. Representative Bernstein.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and especially for why we are here, because I think we see from everyone who has spoken thus far what an incredible person, how lucky we are in this community to have Satch with us for the zoo and for the community. Earlier today, Representative Smith and I were at a centennial luncheon at the Ford. So they're in their 100th year, and we're celebrating, and we're at a Hall of Fame luncheon recognizing members of the military community and how much the Ford has brought to this community. But tonight I get to celebrate Satch and how much he has brought to this community. And as a mother, bringing my two young daughters, who are now 8 and 13, to the zoo. They love this zoo. But as a daughter, I came here. I was born and raised in this community, and I have seen the progression as someone who is pregnant walking around this zoo. As an adult, I love this zoo, and my children love this zoo, and our future generations. And I think the one thing I can say, and it's been said by several people up here today, but it's simple. It's two words. Thank you. Thank you from me as a mother, from me as a daughter, from me as a member of the House of Representatives, as a member of this community. You have done so much. So I just want to end by saying thank you.
As Representative Smith indicated, we have two presentations we'd like to make, and we failed to ask if there are any other members of the Lexington or Richland delegations. Please come forward, particularly the Richland delegations, because we turned over to Representative Smith to get rid of the railroad and the noise. Representative Smith.
Thank you, Senator. One thing to add, we have a concurrent resolution that was passed and adopted unanimously by both bodies. And I wanted to mention, we have experience in a zoo-like atmosphere. So I often reach out to Satch for his guidance. But we had particularly a moment when this beautiful facility behind us was being constructed, and we looked to getting it done and getting all the bonding done, and also we realized that these wonderful, beautiful mammals would be illegal in the state of South Carolina. So we quickly, before it got built, made sure that they wouldn't get arrested as soon as they arrived. And so Satch has been a part of the success in many ways, including the legislative success of this. So Satch, if you'll come forward, we want to present you with this concurrent resolution.
Thank you, James.
We go around the front. Come on.
Yeah. Great to be here with you. It was so much fun to look and see Tamika around. She's proud of y'all. Tamika Devine, City Council.
Satch, if you'll stand right there just a minute, we have another resolution of sorts that we have been asked by the governor of South Carolina to present to you. And it reads, in grateful recognition of contributions and friendship to the state of South Carolina and her people, I do hereby confer upon Palmer Satch Krantz the Order of the Palmetto, the highest honor to give to a citizen of South Carolina.
Jump right there, Dirk. Come on.
Can I add a little story to that?
Yeah.
I just want to add a little story to this Order of the Palmetto, and I want to thank, obviously, Senator Setzler and President Bernstein and so many, Chris and Mary, all who wrote letters for this. And normally it's a big production and important to, obviously, our highest civilian honor being the Order of the Palmetto. And to tell you about how this often happens, it's a lengthy process to review someone's life, who they are. And you know what? Our governor, who regrets very much not being able to be here tonight to present this to you because it was very important to him, but all he needed to hear was one word, and that was your name. And he was ready to sign. And it's because of everything that everybody said about you. They didn't need any resume, anything other than the name Satch to understand he is worthy of that recognition.
Thank you, Representative Smith. We have gotten to share a lot with you tonight, Satch. We'd like you to take the mic now. And again, thank you.
Wow. So get the handkerchiefs out because I'm going to cry. So, when the staff told me they were going to organize this party, I said I've got one request: 3 speakers. So those 3 ladies over there, hold your hand. They don't work here anymore. So we'll be looking for some new people starting tomorrow. I want to start out by thanking Mary. What she has done with those Beyond the Bank segments on TV is remarkable. And when we went through the tragedy of losing that baby gorilla, the community, the outpouring from the community was a direct result of the incredible job that she did. And I just want to thank you for that. That is so special. And I won't call any names, but I do want to thank all of our speakers. I can't even remember who's been up here, and some of them really surprised me, and I appreciate it, and these guys. And I do want to tell you that lion that I said, Dennis, I did that on purpose. He needed to learn that not everybody in the profession is as upstanding as me. So it was a life lesson taught to Dennis Kelly, and now he's the director of the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. I'm going to be really short. If I'm still up here 4 minutes from now, something will have gone terribly wrong. So the internet's an amazing thing. I went on the other day and I typed January 3rd, 73 and June 30th, 2017. And it popped up that I will have worked here 16,249 days. Or 44 years, 5 months, and 27 days, excluding the end date, it says. So to think back that I've been here 44 years is really kind of scary, to be honest. I also don't speak from notes. I do a lot of public speaking, and like these wonderful politicians here, I speak usually from the head and the heart, but tonight I needed some notes. And as you know, we're moving to the coast, and we put our house on the market about a month and a half ago thinking that it would take 2 months to sell, and Jimmy Derrick, who's here tonight, sold it in 3 weeks. So Becky and I are living in a hotel downtown. And so I had these wonderful remarks, and I was looking at them literally 5 minutes before I walked out, and I've got arrows all over where I changed everything I was going to say. So I don't know if this is going to make any sense or not, but I truly am a person who is the personification of being in the right place at the right time. And I don't know how many of you read the last issue of Riverbanks Magazine. I actually wrote my column about how I got this job, about how I was a student at Clemson and rode down here one weekend and ran into the gentleman who was the first director, John Mertens. And by the way, his stepson is here tonight. And so if you didn't read it, I'm going to read you just one little brief paragraph about that encounter. This is from some things I've been writing. Stepping inside Merton's office, he offered me a seat across from his desk. And then he launched into a lengthy description of his vision for Columbia's new zoo. This was in 1972. He was not at all shy in telling me that the quality of Columbia's new zoo would come exclusively from his creative mind, and it did. It was quite an impressive presentation indeed. There was just one problem. I'd never been to a zoo. So my frame of reference was zero. I literally didn't have a clue what he was talking about. So until I walked through that gate on January 3rd, 1973, I'd never been to a zoo. And I ended up working in one for 44 years. When I did start here, and most of my employees don't know much about my life. I've never been a big deal out of it, but there was really nothing to prepare me for this. Both of my parents were blue-collar workers. I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. I'd never met a politician, never given a speech, and never traveled beyond the state of Georgia. And I have traveled around the world now several times, and 17 safaris to Africa, and it happened. And I want to thank two people, and this is where I'm going to get a little. So I'm here tonight because of two people. One is sitting back there, Mr. Don Barton. Turn your hearing aid up, Don. Don hired me as the director of the zoo at the age of 26. And I think the reason that he did it was, one, he knew I was a Clemson graduate. And two, they figured I couldn't screw it up any worse than it already was, and that would give them a little time to find a real zoo director. The other person, somebody you've never heard his name, and he's here. And it's going to surprise him. His name is Sid Gotro. Stand up. I did it. This man was one of my professors. He gave me self-confidence. He taught me I could do anything. And I was ready when I got here. Woo! So I'm almost done, so let's do a little thank yous. My family, I'm going to start with them. Stand up. My little family. My wife Becky, my son Eric, my son David. I'll ask you to pick out the one that lives in New York. And Eric's wife, Melissa, my daughter-in-law. And I am a workaholic. I missed a lot of Little League games and a lot of other things being here, but they stuck with me, and I owe a lot to them, trust me. The dedicated public servants who've served on Richland and Lexington County Council, City Council, our local legislative delegation, you guys have been tremendous. And I know when I've gone before county council and talked about $40 million for sea lions, when they're talking about trying to balance a budget and provide people with a better quality of life, it's hard to do. But they've seen the value of the zoo. We've always tried to produce what we promise, and I thank them for that. Everybody, and there are a lot of them here tonight, who served on the board of the Riverbank Society. Chris mentioned the 43,000 households. What he didn't mention is that represents $5 million in revenue to the zoo each year. And that money goes to offset the zoo's operating budget and to fund all of the capital things that you see happening, sidewalks, paint, everything in between. And we are really indebted to the society. As you might imagine, I've been offered a lot of jobs over the years, opportunities to leave here. I took a couple of them seriously, but like most people, you sit down with that legal pad and you draw the line and you go stay or go, and you list the reasons. Top of that list every time is the Riverbanks Park Commission. I would not work for any other board anywhere in the world than the one that I've worked for 40 years as director and 4 years before that. And I want to thank them for letting me run their zoo. They're tremendous people, and they deserve a lot of applause. And it's been mentioned, and James mentioned it, and I want to mention it, at the bottom of the list, upside down, the top of the list, are the employees who have worked here these many years. There have been thousands of them. I made, probably in around 1999 or 2000, I woke up one morning, this is a true story, and I said, you know, why am I stressing myself out? Why am I driving the employees crazy, micromanaging and doing everything? And I just had that morning epiphany, and I started hiring really great people. Not that there weren't great people here before, I just didn't know how to manage them. And I turned it over to them, and the zoo took off. I just had to kind of stay out of their way and sign the checks. And they're here tonight. I'm not going to point them out, but please give our employees a big hand. And I'm going to end with a quote from a doctor, Dr. Seuss. And he said, "Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened." And that's how I feel here tonight. So thank you all very much.
Satch, we really, truly, Satch, cannot. You've heard it 100 times, but you're going to probably hear it more as people are heading out the door tonight, saying thank you. Your heart, your dedication, thank your family for that support over the years, 44 years, so that what's happened here and in the Midlands would be possible here for our community and for our state. It's been an honor to have all of you join us tonight as we celebrate his legacy, again, the end of an era. I think it's everybody's hope when you step into a role, any type of role, is that you would leave it better than you found it. And Satch, all you have to do is look around. Thank you for leaving this gift to us here, the legacy that you left behind. I don't know if you heard, but I think the sea lions were celebrating you while you were talking. they know your voice as well, and I think that collectively the animal kingdom and the humankind say thank you for all that you've done. Please don't be a stranger. You got a lot to take with you to Kiowa here tonight, a lot to pack up. Some of even we had a proclamation from the City of Columbia. Tamika Isaac Divine, thank you for bringing that as well for SAT tonight. So much that will just be small little tokens, because the legacy you leave is huge, and we are grateful for that. And so Satch is going to make his way up to the front there as you guys make your way out so you can see him. There's a cardboard cutout in case you don't want to wait in line. You can see it in the corner over there. You can take your picture with that just in case. But Satch, we love you. Thank you. Congratulations.